Welcome to another edition of Self-Defense Across America. Okay, so I'm back with some more defensive use of a firearm stories for you from this past week. We're going to start in Chicago, Illinois, where we got a 29-year-old male victim who was unharmed, and our suspect is a 30-year-old male who was injured and arrested. A concealed carry license holder shot a man trying to break into his apartment Monday morning in the South Shore neighborhood, which they've already had at least one murder that I'm aware of in South Shore, so it's not probably considered a very good neighborhood for Chicago. A 30-year-old man forced his way into an apartment around 12:30 a.m. in the 7100 block of South Jeffrey Boulevard, according to the Chicago police. Once inside, he was shot in the leg by a 29-year-old man who is a concealed carry license holder. Police officers took the 30-year-old into custody and transported him to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was listed in fair condition. Police said the shooting appears to be domestic related. Area 1 detectives are investigating. So, domestic related, I think both of the victim and the suspect, yeah, they were both males, so it's possible one was 29, one's 30. It's possible they were brothers of some sort, and one of them decided to break in the other's house, and they, ended up getting shot in the leg. And I guess maybe if it was your brother or something, maybe you would shoot for the leg because you wouldn't really want to actually kill him, even though he's breaking into your house. Okay, so let's go to Midland, Texas, where we have an adult victim who was unharmed, and our suspect is 37-year-old George Samuel Butler, and he was killed. And this looks like another home invasion because we can't get enough home invasions in America. City of Midland says that a suspect burglarized a North Midland home Saturday morning and was killed by the homeowner, who used self-defense. According to the Midland Police Department, at around 4:09 a.m. on Saturday, officers responded to the 1400 block of Daventry Place due to a disturbance with weapons. That's an interesting way to call that, a disturbance with weapons. Upon arrival, officers found a man identified as 37-year-old George Samuel Butler located at the scene deceased. MPD determined that Butler entered the residence by force with a rifle, and then the homeowner placed Butler in a chokehold sometime during the burglary. Butler was killed by the homeowner in a case of self-defense. Crimes Against Persons Unit and MPD Crime Scene Unit were notified and responded to the scene. Next of kin has been notified. The investigation is ongoing. An update to this, okay, they'll update it once it's provided. So this guy breaks into this house with the gun, and probably was the gun that ended up killing him, because it says this guy, the homeowner, put him in a chokehold, but the only gun that it's talking about in the article is the one that the guy brought in. Oh wait, stand your ground. Yeah, that it's possible the guy got killed with his own gun, but we don't know for sure. Okay, we're going to go to Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, where we have a 38-year-old male victim who was unharmed, and our suspect is a 20-year-old male who was injured. And this looks like a road rage armed robbery is what they're calling it. And I skipped over a bunch of the beginning of this article because the article is just a lot of like people talking about the incident, like, onlookers and stuff. So we'll start with what the police talk about on this. Upper Darby police say at about 12:30 a.m. a white Kia sideswiped another car in the 300 block of Richfield Road. The victim followed the car, looking to have a word with the driver, when they were stopped at a light at an intersection of Marshall and Hampton Roads. That's when the rear passenger got out and confronted him and tried to carjack his vehicle, and there was an exchange of gunfire. One of those shots hit the alleged carjacker in the back, and authorities said he jumped back into the Kia, which sped off. An Upper Darby officer heard the gunfire and called for backup. They did try to stop the car, and the car wouldn't stop, so they were pursuing the car to try to stop the vehicle. That's when the driver of the Kia lost control and crashed. Police said there were 3 people inside the white Kia. One is the carjacking suspect who got shot, a 20-year-old man from Colwyn. He was taken to the hospital and is listed as stable. A 15-year-old driver who is from Darby Borough was caught by police, and police have not yet caught the third person who got away. The Kia they were riding in had been reported stolen, a common problem in Upper Darby and beyond. The Kias and Hyundais are stolen all day, every day. The victim in this case is a 38-year-old man from Upper Darby. Police don't know yet if he fired the shot that hit the carjacker, but they do say that the victim is licensed to carry. Upper Darby police are working with the district attorney's office to determine charges in the case. Meantime, Rutherford said it could take months to clean up and repair the damage done in front of Lansdowne's Borough Hall. That's where they crashed the vehicle into. It's very unfortunate. Okay, so these guys carjack a car, then sideswipe this guy who decides that he's going to follow them to have words with them, which is probably ill-advised thing to do. And he ends up getting in a shootout with them. They don't know if he ended up shooting the guy that got out and tried to carjack him, or if the guy got shot by somebody else. I don't know what they were trying to describe with that, if maybe one of his friends ended up shooting him when they started shooting. But that's not really something that people should really be doing, because if somebody's flying around in a car and they sideswipe you, they're probably not somebody that you want to engage with. And I'm going to see if I can find what time this happened. Early Friday morning is all it says. And, that's all it says about it. So it happened, it's at 12:30 a.m. So in the middle of the night, someone sideswipes you. I don't know if you really want to go up there. And the other thing about this is there was a 15-year-old driver. Now, I understand if you have a permit, you just need an adult with you. But this 15-year-old, one, shouldn't be out at 12:30 a.m. And two, if he's going to be driving around, should be with a parent and not out carjacking vehicles. Okay, so we're going to go to Durham, North Carolina, where we have an adult male victim that was unharmed, and our suspect, 35-year-old Brandon Collins, he was injured and arrested. A man, police said, was trespassing at another man's Durham home multiple times Thursday, was shot by the man who lived there. Durham police responded to a home in the 8200 block of North Carolina Highway 751 after learning of a man trespassing after 5:30 p.m. A person who lived in the home told police the trespasser was Brandon Collins, and Collins had trespassed on the property twice on Thursday. After 7 p.m., Collins was seen on the property a third time, leading to a fight between the residents and him. Collins was shot sometime during the altercation and taken to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. An arrest warrant was granted for Collins on charges of first-degree trespassing. Collins, 35 years old, was taken to the Durham County Detention Center and given a $5,000 secured bond. He is in custody as of Friday morning. This is an ongoing investigation. So this guy, I don't know what he was doing on this in this person's property, but he was trespassed 3 times before the guy that lived there in one day, before the guy that lived there ended up, getting in a fight with him and shooting him. And, they give this guy, it's a trespassing charge. They're calling it, first degree trespassing. This guy's not going to get any sentence for this. He's not going to even go to jail. They barely put people that do violent crimes, like horrible things, they barely put them in jail. And this guy's going to be out. So this homeowner that ended up shooting him, this whole thing is probably going to continue again next week, because this bond they gave this guy, in a couple of weeks, he's going to go back and see another judge who's going to knock it down to like $500, and the guy's going to bond out. The homeowner, just better make sure he keeps his gun on him at all times, because this isn't going to end just because of that incident. Okay, let's go to Greenville, South Carolina, where we have a 16-year-old male who was unharmed and arrested. That's our victim. So our victim was arrested in this. So he's probably somebody that shouldn't have a gun and had a gun, because that's usually why the victims get arrested. And then let's go, our suspect is a 50-year-old John Parker, and he was killed in this, and it looks like defensive use is all they're saying about it. The Greenville County Sheriff's Office said a teenager is charged after a self-defense shooting that killed a man on Wednesday night. Deputies were called to the Travelers Inn on Chalmers Road at 9:17 p.m. Upon arrival, they found a man, 50-year-old John Parker, with at least 1 gunshot wound. Parker was taken to the hospital, where he later died. Deputies said they learned Parker had been in an altercation at the motel and held a 16-year-old boy at knife point. Acting in self-defense, the teen pulled out a handgun and shot Parker, resulting in his death. The teenager was charged with having a stolen pistol and taken to the Department of Juvenile Justice in Columbia. So this 16-year-old defends himself, and he's got a stolen gun, and he ends up getting charged, and the other guy dies, and he better hope he can prove it's self-defense and he doesn't end up with charges in that incident. Okay, we're going back to Chicago, and we got a 23-year-old adult male victim who was unharmed, and our suspect is an adult male, and this one looks like an armed robbery of some sort. A would-be robbery victim with a concealed carry license got into a shootout with a suspect on the far north side early Tuesday morning. The 23-year-old man was walking in the 5400 block of North Winthrop Avenue in the city's Edgewater neighborhood just after 4:20 a.m. So this dude's walking around in this Chicago far north side neighborhood at 4:20 a.m. when a white sedan and dark-colored SUV approached. A male suspect got out of one of the cars, pulled out a gun, and demanded the man give him all his belongings. The victim, who was a firearm owner's identification card and CCL, also pulled out a gun, and there was a shootout. The man was not injured, and the suspect got back in the SUV and left empty-handed. Both vehicles drove away, traveling south. It was not immediately clear if the suspect was injured. No one was in custody later Tuesday morning, and Area 3 detectives are investigating. 2 other men were robbed at gunpoint during similar attacks that happened in less than an hour in Edgewater and Westridge. The first robbery occurred around 3:40 a.m. when 2 armed men approached a 45-year-old man inside a vehicle at the 2100 block of West Lunt Avenue and demanded his belongings. After the man complied, the robbers got in the silver SUV and sped away. About half an hour later, 2 gunmen exited separate vehicles in the 6100 block of North Wolcott and robbed a 29-year-old man sitting in his vehicle. Police are investigating the possibility the 3 attacks are linked. Well, time-wise, it sounds like all 3 of these could be linked because they're all happening right after each other, and the vehicles sound somewhat similar. But yeah, this guy, he's getting robbed. I don't know what he's out doing walking around at 4:20 a.m., but they're trying to rob him, and he pulls out a gun and starts shooting, and gets in a shootout with them. Again, ill-advised, but, it worked out for this guy. I don't think it said that he was injured at all. No, he was unharmed in the whole thing. So it worked out okay for him. It's still not something they recommend that you do, but in that moment, if you feel like you're okay with possibly taking a bullet if you get hit by them and want to get in a shootout with somebody, hey, more power to you. That's the only way these guys are going to stop, if they know that they could get shot doing it. That's about the only way it's going to stop them, because they're not ever going to face any kind of time for doing it. Maybe a night. That's about it. That's all that's going to happen to them. So we're going to go to Wilmington, Delaware. Our victim was unharmed, and our suspect, 27-year-old Ishmael Jules Abachi, he was injured and arrested, and this looks like another home invasion because we don't have enough home invasions. Wilmington police are investigating a shooting that occurred early Monday morning inside a residence on the 500 block of East 6th Street. The incident, which happened around 3:07 a.m., led to a 27-year-old male suffering gunshot wounds. He was subsequently transported to a hospital and is currently in stable condition. Officials now say the man who was shot, identified as Ishmael Jules Abachi, has been arrested in connection with the case. The investigation shows that Jules Abachi was shot by a resident of the home during an attempted burglary. In light of these facts, detectives consulted with the Delaware Department of Justice. The resident will not face charges related to the shooting, given that Jules Abachi was in the process of breaking into the residence at the time of the incident. Jules Abachi is facing charges of first-degree burglary and criminal mischief under $1,000. Following his arraignment in Justice of the Peace Court 20, he was committed to the Howard R. Young Correctional Institution with a cash-only bail set at $11,000. Additionally, it was discovered that Jules Abachi had an outstanding warrant from Tennessee. So this guy sounds like he's on some level a career criminal. And, this first-degree burglary charge, I don't know. I mean, if he can come up with this money for the bail, he's going to be out. And I don't know what charges they'd even really give him to it. I mean, criminal mischief under $1,000 means that if he took something, he didn't take enough to really even get in trouble. And I don't know. There was a time this guy would serve 5 years for this, and now he's probably going to get, a couple months or something. And it's not, I don't know. The only way that these things stop seriously is if homeowners, in this case, if they protect themselves, if they are legally able to own a firearm and protect themselves. And if these criminals learn that they could get shot if they break into these people's houses. That's the only way this stuff is going to stop, because the justice system is really not doing anything to stop it. This is a weekly video, so if you like this type of content, hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing. And I'll catch you next week.